Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Morning Sports Podcast. I am BA along here with Keith Ingle, James J. Martin, and Jack Hurst. I hope the gentlemen are having a wonderful Sunday. I
Yes,
know
sir.
Keith has just come back from the wild frontier of Alaska. I hope that was
Yeah.
great for him.
Bears.
I did want to say something. I know I was on social media watching, looking at your pictures, stuff that you guys took. That one with the little bitty iceberg coming down. That's like out of summer. I know it's summer in Alaska.
We barely dodged that. We barely dodged that iceberg.
It's like they were just
Literally, really?
down. It's like
No, it was only this. The first one I took. I was trying to get under the water because the top part's only like the tip of the iceberg, literally, right? They were very small, but even those little ones, there'd be this much ice underneath, so it was really kind of cool. It was my first shot of ice, so I just had to take it. That was like 5:30 in the morning, so it cut me some slack. I thought you were going to comment on like half my pictures have a piece of my finger or my thumb in it. So.
I'll just chalk up to senior moments on that.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous part of the world, though, guys. You have to go one time because it'll take your breath away.
Wow.
Yeah. Me and Liz are planning on going someday over there. I gotta get my first cruise under my belt.
Same. I've never been on a cruise ever.
I'll keep going.
You been on a cruise, Jack?
I'm not going to engage in this discussion. It's a sports show.
I knew it.
We talk sports. Come on, get off.
I knew it. I knew he was being quiet for a reason.
It's ridiculous. Come on, guys. Come on. They want to hear about the World Cup, Major League Baseball. No, Keith's cruise is fine. Talk with him about it after the show. Call him up later.
Oh Lord,
Maybe
Jack.
talk
What
with
are you?
him
What
about
are you?
it
The
later.
Gestapo of the show?
Okay. Let's go to the sports.
Anyway,
Yes, let's get to the sports.
I did play some ping pong.
y'all are just killing me. First off, the World Cup is going to be today, the final World Cup between Spain and Argentina. Yesterday was the consolation game between England and France. England wins 6-4. Mbappe takes over the lead for most goals in World Cup soccer right now.
In a game that doesn't really count, right?
Yeah,
It was a great game. Don't say that. It's the equivalent of the bronze medal match, the consolation game.
Say that again. Say what you said yesterday, James.
Nobody
Say what you
cares
said
about
yesterday.
Look, nobody. It's like the Nelly song. What does it take to be number one? 2 is not a winner, and 3 nobody remembers. Nobody's going to remember any of those that happened yesterday. They're going to only remember either Spain or Argentina today winning. It's a loser's bracket. That's exactly what it is.
No. You're right in that sense, James. As far as people ultimately aren't going to remember, but isn't that what sports is all about? A team can have a great year. Your New Orleans Saints, for example, can go 12-5 next season. Nice improvement. Lose in the first round of the playoffs. It'll be a wonderful year. Wonderful year, but no one care in the long run, unfortunately. But yesterday, England is winning 4-0 at the half. 4-0 at the half. And I'm watching the game. France is awful. No motivation. They're not getting back on defense. It's an absolute disgrace. Then they make it 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. Then they have the opportunities to tie the game and even go ahead. They're missing, shots that they could have made. And it seemed like a miraculous comeback. All of a sudden, they're showing pride. They're showing bite. They're making their nation actually proud the way they're playing. Ultimately, it's 4-3. France misses golden opportunities to at least tie the game. And then England gets a penalty kick. You kind of wanted these penalty kicks in big situations because penalty kicks are devastating. So England goes up 5-3, and ultimately it's 6-4 at the end. France scores a goal, at the end. But they showed bite. They turned it into a game. It was entertaining. They didn't just go out timidly. It was the best game of the tournament, actually, at least most entertaining the second half.
I guarantee.
Honestly, Jack, before you go, Keith, honestly, I'd rather talk about Keith's iceberg more than that.
Not that you didn't see the second half.
Nobody. They didn't care. Listen, you probably care more than 99% of the people in England about this game because nobody cared. There was a bunch of people from England on the cruise ship, and after they lost the other day, they didn't care about. They were going, I can't wait to play.
But if you want to ship them watching the game, had England blown that lead, they would have been exasperated. Believe me, it would have bothered them this morning.
I don't think any of them watched. I'll bet you none of them watched. None of them. They didn't care. They wanted to win. They played to win the game as your coach.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a big difference between being World Cup champion and not. Even today's loser between Spain and Argentina, what is it going to mean to the losing country? You know, this game, it's not going to be that big. You don't have reunions usually for non-championship teams. Even though I saw an episode on Netflix with the Portland Trail Blazers from the late 1990s, early 200s, they had a reunion of that team that didn't quite get it done. Jailbreakers. Yeah. It wasn't that great a documentary. I don't know what you thought of it, but it wasn't bad either.
I mean, to James' point, do you remember who Argentina beat the last World Cup?
No. Tom Coughlin, when he addressed the Giants before they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, he said it best, you usually don't remember the losing team. I mean, if it's a classic game, yeah, of course you do. But in most seasons, you don't remember. Like he pointed out when under Bill Cowher, when the Steelers won their one Super Bowl under him, most people don't remember was the Seattle Seahawks who they beat.
Well, now what you're saying right here, when you mention that game, when you mention the 18-0 team, that's going to be different. You're going to remember a team like that because it's an upset. It's an upset. They were supposed to win that game.
Now, why don't they play a consolation game between the losers of the conference championship games? That's an excellent point, actually, James. Who would care?
They used to, right? Didn't they used to?
No, I don't. Well, maybe.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, way back. Yeah, and what's his name? Didn't like it. Lombardi didn't like it, right?
Nobody cares. They don't play that.
Lombardi hated it. It was a game and lose. Football's a harder game physically to crank it up and play again.
How about NCAA basketball? Why'd they stop playing a consolation game there? Because nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Right. No one cares.
I get it. But it's the equivalent. If it's the equivalent of a bronze medal game, but I can understand the game yesterday. I mean, let me tell you something. It does mean something for England, the players winning that game, going out on this note. It does mean something to them.
4 years from now, Jack, you won't even know who played in that game. You won't know.
And let's put it this way, Jack. It's the equivalent of giving out a participation prize. You participated in this event, and now you're fighting for a participation prize versus winning the actual thing you came for, which is the ultimate prize.
Okay, but let me throw this at you guys. You look the NCAA tournament Keith just mentioned. Bill Walton once said, who cares about going to the Final Four? It's about winning the championship. So I can make the argument, let's do away with the mystique of the Final Four in the NCAA tournament. What does it really mean? Either you win the championship, so you lose in the semifinals. Why are we making a big deal over it? I mean, I could use that argument.
That would actually counter your previous argument, though. So I don't think
it's the four best teams that have made it finally.
You missed my point. I'm not talking about the accomplishment. Yesterday's game was a great game, and it did mean something to France, considering they were losing 4-0, and they were disgracing their country. They were disgracing the whole country of France with their lack of effort. And even though they ultimately lost the game, they showed bite to come back the way they did, turn it into a game and play the way they did. At least their country wasn't humiliated at the end, but they were a complete humiliation to France. The way they played, not just losing 4-0, their lack of effort.
They're used to that in France anyway.
In the first half, their lack of effort.
lack of effort is kind of their thing.
I mean, what do you tell your team? You're a fan of any sport, basketball, for example. Let's look at Brian's Pistons, their last game that they lost to the Cavaliers. He's still exasperated by how poorly they played, their lack of effort, their lack of intensity. Brian, I'll tell you, had the Pistons came back very strongly and lost a tough game, but showed a lot of bite, he still would have been upset, Brian, but he would have taken a little something out of it. Okay, they came back. At least they showed some pride, something they didn't really do in this view.
Well, the
right?
game counted. That game counted for something, too. This game counted for nothing, except for the goals that count in a meaningless exhibition game, basically. I think it's ridiculous.
But it's harder to show pride when the game doesn't mean as much.
Yeah.
So that's why kudos to France in that sense.
Well, even if it was a consolation game, I think the game was more for the fact that we want to, from Mbappe to get the goals to get ahead of Messi. Now he has 10 goals in this tournament, and to tally at 22, which is one more than Messi's got. So Messi has a chance to tie or go ahead of Mbappe. Right now, Mbappe is the World Cup leader.
Shouldn't have to.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, it's basically that was all the game was for, is to have. I mean, in my opinion, so he can see if he can get another couple of goals,
Agreed.
And it really, really shouldn't have happened because they were out. Period. So I don't.
You kind of wonder with England, it happened against them when it really counted against Argentina. They're up 2-0 late in the game, and they found a way to lose 3-2. And they kind of collapsed again yesterday at the end of the game. But it's not about England. Obviously, today's Argentina against Spain. And Argentina's been living life on the edge in a sense. It's two ways you could look at it. When you come back the way they've been coming back in the tournament, you show real character. And then the other end, I kind of like Spain's domination. What, a 13-1 goal differential? I mean, I kind of normally like teams that control games and dominate games as opposed to teams who are living life on the edge and just coming back, at the end.
This is an exciting run. We spent 20 minutes talking about a meaningless consolation game, and we haven't talked about Argentina and Spain's great runs to the final at all.
Keith, we haven't been on the air close to 20 minutes. So
I'm on Alaska time still. It's about 4 a.m.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Linda, and good morning, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Good morning, Miss Linda.
About an iceberg and talking about a consolation game. But anyway, yes, Argentina will be playing Spain.
I am not, just to touch on the overall part of the World Cup, I'm not a soccer fan even a little bit, and people who watch me know, but this has been enthralling. Watching Argentina play these games has been incredibly exciting. And watching England go into whatever they did against Argentina, that's what they ought to be embarrassed about in England, is not, almost losing the game yesterday, is the fact that they lost that game to Argentina without barely putting up a fight. I watched the second half of that thing in a bar with some England fans, and they were beside themselves because they spent about a minute and a half in their end of the pitch in the whole second half.
You guys are talking about it just means winning the championship. It's expectations of countries. The fans in Norway went home happy. They were happy their run. So the powerhouse teams who are favorites, it's about the championship at the end. I mean, Argentina, Spain, they're going to be disappointed. Whoever loses this game, very disappointed. But certain countries made a run in the tournament, did better than expected. Look, the USA, we're disappointed the way it turned out this tournament. But if the USA had made a little more of a run, had they gotten to the Final Four, Final Eight, people would have been happy in the country with that run.
Well, they're talking about a team that didn't do anything in their last game. USA was the equivalent of that right there.
Yeah, the way they lost, the USA lost 4-1.
They soured it up in that game.
Yeah,
I didn't like that. I don't like when you. I wouldn't mind if they would have went out and it was a penalty kick or it was a close match and they were fighting for it. They ain't had no fight in that game. And I was like, man, well, why am I watching this game? It's just ridiculous.
I mean, but didn't they lose to the same team before in the same fashion?
Belgium, yeah. Kind of, yeah.
I mean, let's give credit to Belgium. I mean, Belgium probably was just the better team.
Outclass U.S. was for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think they had a lot of hype too. I think they were motivated by the fact that they allowed one of the U.S. soccer players back in there after he got a red card, and they were one of the proponents of that too, of not having to come back. And I think they might have been, because they feel that, so USA gets to have their guy back. What do you think he's going to be? He's going to be the guy that beats us, and they had that motivation. It just takes a little bit to get that motivation.
I guess again, they outclassed in the first game they played them, so it's just hard to really just say the motivated factor was the only thing. It was the big thing is they probably were just better. They were just a better team.
Like Spain. I have a really good feeling about Spain. I think they could be, and to your point about both of these teams meaning something. Argentina won it the last time. So even if they lose it this time, I don't think it's gonna mean something, but it's not gonna be the same because they've already won it. And Spain hasn't won in a while. So for them to have this team out here to defeat Argentina, I think that it'll mean more to Spain than it will be to Argentina.
I think Messi's last time on this stage probably means a lot for Argentina and winning, I think. So I think there's plenty of motivation there for Argentina to win this game today.
I think people like streak guys, if Argentina could go back to back, you can never, and no pun intended, you can never get that back, going back to back if you fail. Like look at the Kansas City Chiefs when they were trying to three-peat. They lose to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. You're not going to tell me the following year their motivation is going to be quite as high. But when you have a chance to three-peat, that's high motivation itself. And you lose that little edge the following year, even though you're still motivated, of course, it's never the same. And for Argentina, yeah, they're going to have new players, and they'll come back 4 years from now, and they're going to want to win. But it won't be the same as if they went back to back 2 World Cups in a row. Wow, the focus is going to be on them far and away 4 years from now more than any other country. But if they don't win it this year, and you go back to back, something about it. I mean, we look at all sports. I mean, look at that bad boy Piston team with James's main man Isaiah Thomas on there, okay?
Yeah, we got
I had to get that one in there for Brian's entertainment, if anything. But let's say that bogus call on Bill Lambert wasn't called. Jabbar didn't go to the line, and the Pistons had won the NBA championship. That would have been 3 in a row. We would have been talking about them as one of the greatest teams, I think, in NBA history had they three-peated. But because they won just back-to-back, which is a big accomplishment, and didn't three-peat, we don't quite look at them as being as great as we could. That's just my feeling.
Yes, I have to disagree with that. I just how great that team was considering that run they had and considering the team they were. I mean, they even went to the Eastern Conference Finals after those 2 championships against the Bulls. Obviously, the Bulls beat them. And that's the infamous no handshake series. But that team was phenomenal. I mean, they did a lot of great things. And like you said, they might have been cheated. So should that be discounted as them not being one of the greatest teams because of something like that?
They're not looked at. We're not talking about our opinions now. We're not talking about that. We're talking about historically how certain teams are looked at.
And yet, ultimately, when you say that, it's still just opinions from everybody's, who's viewing it. You can't say that they're not great because they didn't win the game.
No one say everyone is saying they're great. We understand any team that goes back to back is great. The Houston Rockets that went back to back are great, but they're not considered one of the greatest teams of all time. Unless you do something, the short list of the greatest.
Phenomenal, right.
sometimes you don't have to go back to back like that Celtic '86 team. They didn't go back to back. It was one and done. The Chicago Bears of the NFL. Okay, what was it? '85.
85.
They're considered one of the greatest teams of all time, and they didn't go back to back. But if you win 3 in a row, I mean, there's no denying whatever. You're going to be put in the short list, the greatest teams, no matter how powerful people might think you were.
So, does anybody have any more to say about the Argentina-Spain matchup?
I see an upset. I like Spain. I see an upset there. Yep.
Yeah, I do too.
I'll root for Argentina. Third time ever a team goes back to back.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it if it happened, but I just kind of.
Isn't this considered a pretty even? I don't know what the odds are, but they're pretty even, right? It's not an upset if Spain.
Well, wasn't France the favorites to beat Spain?
I would think France is favored today, but
yeah, France and Spain were the favorites to be in the World Cup.
Yeah.
And
I'm just saying,
it's a toss-up game, I think, going in today. Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Spain has been going through these teams, but based on their defensive play, they have a really good defensive team, and then you got Argentina. That's a really good offensive team. So this is your battle of the giants of defense and offense. So this will be a good matchup. It'll definitely be a good matchup. Yes, it will definitely.
Actually, the line is Spain's getting plus 130, so that makes them a small underdog. Small.
Which
I'm a little surprised at that.
Yeah,
I think that's because the amateur bettor like me would say, "Oh, I'll take Messi and Argentina."
All right, so getting into some Major League Baseball because it's the second game after the All-Star break for a lot of these teams. Boston is having a heck of a time right now. They've won 12 games in a row. 12 out of the last 12 games, and they're getting up there. They're third place, and they're hunting these leaders down in a division here. I mean, they're still a little bit away, granted. But Tampa Bay is up there in the American League East with 56 and 41. Yankees are right behind them. There was a moment where Boone did not pull Cole out of one of the games. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, and they eventually lost that game. And I was thinking of you, Keith, because I was like, this would be a perfect time for Keith to go off on air. Even a minute.
When we were floating near a glacier in Alaska, I thought that would be a good place for Aaron Boone to camp out.
Listen, I can't take this with Keith's attitude on this. Keith is the one. He's a proponent. If a pitch is pitching really well, stop with these pitch counts. Let him pitch. This is your ace. He's pitching great. Because Cole gives up the homer, Keith is going to say, I knew Boone should have pulled him out. Come on, Keith.
The situations are, when you hear me go off, it's because guys get pulled out of perfect games like Jared Jones before the All-Star break. That's just ridiculous. But to take Garrett Cole, who's 8 months from surgery, and push him that far, he doesn't have to do that.
He's been pitching a while, Cole. He didn't just come back from surgery. What are you talking about?
Keith and Jack, I have a question for you both. Outside of Boone's ineptitude, Keith perceived ineptitude as a manager.
Perceived doesn't need to come into it.
Does the 60-day IL for Judge play a major role in what the Yankees are doing?
Well, the designation doesn't really matter because he's already been there 60 days, right? So
pretty much, yeah.
But he had another scan this week, and he's not coming back anytime soon. I said originally I'd be surprised if he came back middle of August, and now it's looking like September. So this
does that affect the team? Yeah.
Are you kidding? Yeah, not having Judge there affects the Yankees. Tremendous impact.
It's everything.
But this isn't the NBA. It's the NBA. You lose a star player. I mean, you usually can't overcome that because. But baseball, you can overcome any one player.
They
I mean, a
haven't.
case in point, I mean, one of the great players in Seattle Mariner history was A-Rod. In the year he was out, the Mariners set an American League record for winning most games in the regular season. That wouldn't happen in the NBA. You take Jalen Brunson off the Knicks, I mean, and let's say can't play from next year, that's going to cost the Knicks, 12, 15 games during the regular season or whatever. Maybe more than that.
It's cost the Yankees 12 or 15 games here, so they have not replaced him, whether they can or not.
Well, it's hurt him a lot. And by the way, Keith has a point with Aaron Judge not pulling Cole. Aaron Boone has questioned himself. He's picking himself whether he should have done it, should not have done it. Sometimes the manager's just not sure, he's on the fence, and the pitcher wants to stay in. And that's, I don't want to say Cole is the Yankee ace anymore, only because Schlitter's been so outstanding, and they got Max Fried, the year before last. So he's one of 3 aces on the Yankees, but it's easy to stay after.
In fairness, Jack is correct. If I'm going out there and there's a veteran on the mound and he says I got one more batter, I'm probably going to stick with him. I'm getting on Aaron Boone just because I get on Aaron Boone, but that's a tough decision. If he left Cam Schlieder in there, I would not have had a problem with it, quite frankly. So,
it's the way it turned out, and
the hindsight is 2020. So
the real question in this whole situation, though, is last year Judge went out with an injury for like 2 to 3 weeks, wasn't it? And the Yankees did a pretty good job of maintaining their wins-loss. This time, not so much. Is it more so of the players not being as good as the players of last year, or what's going on with that?
Well, the bench is not solid at all. That outfield is very slim to begin with, and losing Judge. And last week, losing a guy for 2 weeks compared to 2 months is a lot. And they did play well the first couple of weeks he was out. They really went into the tank after 10 or 12 days of him being out, or 12 games of him being out. You just can't maintain losing that impact bat for that period of impact player, because he's also, a great defensive player as well. They're going to have to make some moves here in the next 2 weeks before the trade deadline, for sure.
Guys, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the biggest story in baseball right at this moment with the trade deadline, looming is Skubal with your Tigers.
Ain't going nowhere.
But that's exactly it. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Tigers get absolutely nothing in return. So if you're the Tigers, what do you like, 6.5 games out now? They have a shot at coming back and actually winning the division. Do you stick with Skubal and play it out this year?
I think
or do you trade him? If you could get a couple of really good prospects, do you make the deal? I mean, and who would give up a couple of prospects? There might be one team out there that could do it. I mean, I get the feeling one way or another the Dodgers are going to find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
I think this is all speculation, in my opinion, because I think what the Tigers are doing, to tell you the truth, I think they're seeing what Skubal has got, because Murray had surgery, in the beginning of the season. So let's see what he's got. And the Tigers like to sit on their hands about a lot of things. It's typical for a lot of these Detroit teams. Now, I don't understand what's going on with that. I think the Lions had made some kind of a play with how they spend money and stuff like that. But you're not winning championships. That's the point.
Guys,
you're there for it.
Making the playoffs isn't enough. I wouldn't keep Skubal. Yeah. I don't have a realistic chance of winning the World Series. If I don't, I have to trade him. It's not just about making a wild card. You got to have a chance to win.
That's weird. It's just a city thing. You look at LA, the Dodgers, the Rams, the Lakers, they'll throw the kitchen sink at you right now and not worry about the future at all. I mean, and then you look at you mentioned Detroit. I mean, the Lions are a little
for the future.
The Tigers are hesitant what to do. The Pistons are hesitant what to do. Is this a city mentality? You kind of want to different franchises. I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but cities seem to function with a certain mindset.
Well, moving to LA didn't help the Angels in that mindset.
The Angels, listen, Who's more relevant, the Angels in LA or the Brooklyn Nets in New York? Again, we're talking mindset.
I could make an argument for the Nets in this case, I think.
I mean, listen, the Nets have some value.
Chargers.
My grandson's an NBA fan. You know, he
Or the
lives
Clippers.
out of town. When he's going to fly in I'm going to fly him in during the season, and he's to go to an NBA game. I already told him, no, we're going to the Nets. Nick, tickets are too expensive. It's crazy, you know.
Oh, Grandpa Scrooge.
He's a Utah Jazz fan, so it'd be perfect
gotcha.
if the Jazz are playing the Nets. That would work out great, or whatever.
Yeah, it probably will work out for the
I
Jazz.
used
Yes.
to do that. Listen, I used to do that when the Miami Heat would come to town. I would get tickets to see them play the New Jersey Nets. I'd go to the Prudential Center because I'd have to pay a few times the amount to see LeBron play at MSG. You know, but to see him play at the Prudential Center, it worked out.
If you bought less of the wearables, Jack, if you bought less Nick wearables when you were jump on the bandwagon, you'd have more money.
No, I like the Knicks. I've always liked the. Listen, I couldn't, as a Jet and Yankee fan, I couldn't wear Giant gear. I couldn't wear Met, outfit. I wore it once for the Giants when they're playing in the Super Bowl. I showed my backing. So for those 2 weeks, I wore a Giant sweatshirt to just show support. As soon as it ended, I got rid of it. I couldn't wear it anymore. But the Knicks a little different. You know, I think they brought a lot of pride to the city. You know, so. Well, whatever.
What's happened to fandom? My God.
Listen, fandom. I went to the fights at the Barclays Center where the Nets play to see Boots Ennis fight Xander Zayas. Right outside the Barclays Center, they're selling Knicks stuff, not Nets stuff. And I picked up my Knicks T-shirt with the whole team, the picture and all. This is outside the Barclays Center. Yeah, Rick is a hater at times. He's a Vikings fan. Rick is a Vikings fan. What the heck is he talking about? He lives upstate New York. He hates his own teams in New York State. He has to go all the way to Minnesota. At least, Rick, I like you, Rick. But at least I'm staying inside of New York State, inside of New York City. Rick is going to Minnesota.
Yeah, we know a few fans like that.
Yeah.
That don't stay in their own state and cheer for their own teams.
The teams don't stay in this state. What are you talking about? The teams don't even stay here.
In the major leagues right now, the Dodgers have recaptured the best record in the major leagues at 62-36. Right behind them is the Brewers. Then with the Braves and the Rays, both at 56 wins. Atlanta's kind of slowing down just a little bit. Philadelphia's catching up to them. Like I said, it's a long season. Like I say every time, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So, and that's what counts.
Keith, I gotta hold on. I gotta bring it up to Keith. You said this once last season about Milwaukee Brewers that you've seen this movie before. They do well in the regular season and then just crap the bed in the playoffs. You predict that will happen again this season?
Till I see some evidence to make me think otherwise, yes.
Right. Go with
it.
They fooled me once. I picked them in the playoffs a couple of times off these great regular seasons, and they've screwed me. So there you go.
Just to refer to Rick's comment, they're called the New York Jets. New York Jets is the name of that team. Same thing if the Bears guys play in. I'm sorry, Rick, because Rick's comment was put up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said.
And if you go to Buffalo,
the Bears are moving to Indianapolis technically, but it's going to be a closer distance for a lot of Bear fans to actually get to the game in a new facility. They're going to be called the Chicago Bears. Should the people in Chicago feel, well, we're not rooting for them, then Indianapolis now. So they'll have fans in Indianapolis, the Bears, the way they do now, but they'll still realistically be the Chicago Bears. And in New York City, guys, where are you going to put up a stadium to play. You could do it, I guess, in Queens or whatever, but it's hard. It's the Islanders play on Long Island. They're called the New York Islanders, technically.
It's Hammond, Indiana, not Indianapolis, by the way.
Hammond,
Yes,
Indiana.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hammond.
But how would you guys feel about it if the Pistons? Wait a second. They're called the Detroit Pistons. They don't play in Detroit, actually.
Yes, they do.
They
Yes, they
do.
do.
They are located in Detroit where the games
Yep.
are played. Okay.
All the Detroit teams are now all in Detroit. There was a time when the Pistons
when
played
the-
Auburn Hills. There was a time when the Lions played in Pontiac. They
Did
all
you
came
care?
back.
Did it matter to you, Brian?
What,
Did
did
it
they-
really matter?
I mean, travel-wise, it did, because at the time I was living in Detroit, so I had to go out to Pontiac. I had to go out to Auburn. And travel-wise, it made a difference.
Yeah,
but
okay.
it didn't make a difference of what team I cheered for because they were still Detroit teams in my head. So it didn't make a difference there, but it was just travel inconvenience. That was all.
When George talked about moving the Yankees to New Jersey for about 20 years, I still would have been a Yankee fan if they moved to New Jersey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been happy about it, but I would have still been a fan.
Well, a bigger test is if you relocate guys full time. Let's say you move to Florida, okay, full time. Let's say you move to Tampa Bay, like a buddy of mine did. A buddy of mine from New York, and he adjusted. He's a fan of the teams in Tampa. He's, a Tampa Bay, Buccaneer fan. He's no longer, a Giant fan. He made the move. So it depends how entrenched you are with the team. I was never that huge a basketball. Not never huge a net fan. I went back to them from the NBA. Same with hockey. I could flip those teams. Can you guys flip? I can't flip the Yankees.
I would never.
Jets.
I mean, you can go in my case. I'm a New Orleans Saints fan that lives in
Yeah.
Atlanta. There's no way in hell that I would be an Atlanta Falcons fan. There's too much history
Where did you
there.
grow up, James?
In
Where did you
New
grow up?
New Orleans. I grew up in New Orleans.
Okay,
I was
and you lived there through well into adulthood, right? And you
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I moved
And now you're
here when I was
but you can't flip your team.
no, and just that I'm just saying I can't flip the team. First of all,
Wait,
I would flip possibly if we were never a divisional rival. You know what I mean? If it was like an AFC team or something like that, I may root for them.
Football. What about the other sports? Can you flip any?
I'm an Atlanta Braves fan because I never had a
There's
baseball
no
team.
baseball team in New Orleans.
Right,
You're not
exactly.
flipping.
Right, there's no flipping. Right, exactly.
When we had our Patriot season tickets, the Patriots were this close to moving to St. Louis. I would have still been a Patriot fan. I would have had season tickets, obviously, but I would have been a Patriot fan.
If they moved to St. Louis, you would have still
I
been a
would've.
Patriot fan. But what
Okay.
happens if a new franchise came into the New England, Boston
No.
area?
I wouldn't have been there. It's not like I live in
So
Boston.
wait, but what about the Cleveland Brown fans when they lost
Yeah,
their team
I was just about to bring that up.
Baltimore? They're not Raven fans.
Well, again, circumstances mean something as
They
well.
got their own team now, and
The way-
Or the Houston Oilers when they moved to Tennessee, as you know, that was a tough because I lived in Houston a short time in my life, and I was a Houston Oilers fan as well. I was like, wow, they moved, and they kept them Oilers for a little bit.
I think, and the people I'm removed from those areas a little bit, but people I know that root for those teams, and it's a small sample size. It's like 50-50. They stayed with the old team and some went to the new team. So,
Yeah, like for instance, my girlfriend, she lives in Texas, so she lives near Houston, so she's a Houston fan. She doesn't like the Rockets; she likes San Antonio. But there's so many teams you can pick in Texas. It's just it's like you're not going to go wrong either way.
Those two examples happen pretty quickly. Within a couple of years, they replaced those teams in those cities. I know in Cleveland's case they did, and I think Houston too. It wasn't too long they were without.
They did. It wasn't too long, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It fascinates me. Like I was upstate New York for the weekend, and
I didn't see that.
I'm at one of these shopping outlets, Woodbury Commons, and I see this guy walk in the store. Worker. He has on a Pittsburgh Pirate cap. I didn't ask him, but the temptation's there. Are you really a Pirate fan? Are you wearing the cap? and you look at all these caps and apparel that people wear. Are they wearing it because it looks nice? And are they fans just? I mean, I remember once looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, outfits to wear. And if I wasn't a fan, it looks good. You put on the Steel outfit. Certain team logos look a little better than others.
What?
Fashion over
Fandom.
favoritism, I guess.
Man, I would never wear these colors. I don't care what it looks like.
Let me tell you, I don't care where I move. I'm always going to be a Detroit fan.
There you go.
It's just in my DNA. I do nothing about. I mean, there's teams I'm going to still hate. I still hate Chicago. I still hate everybody in our division. But that's just our division thing. But I'm never flipping any of my.
And same thing, Danny. I'm forever black and gold New Orleans Saints. I mean, I've been in the trenches when. Yeah, I love the Pelicans.
You mean to tell me, living in Atlanta, let's say the Hawks, James, went on the same run that the Knicks did exactly. You would probably take pride in being in Atlanta, what the Hawks are doing, even though you'd still be a Pelican fan. You would be rooting for the Hawks, and you would be caught up in the wave, I'm sure.
Nah, not really. I would, first, no. The only, it's kind of different for me. I love the Pelicans, but I'm also an individual fan of a player, LeBron James. I mean, that's different. I've seen him. So I don't really like the Lakers. I don't really like Miami. I don't really like Cleveland, but I like LeBron James as a fan. So,
but you probably would join in with Brian with the Pistons, with the Bad Boys, because you're an Isaiah Thomas fan. You would probably.
As a kid, because remember, New Orleans didn't have a basketball team during that time. So yes, I was a major Pistons fan during that time, and it used to be the Jazz, of course. Young people out there don't know that Utah didn't always own. Absolutely right, exactly. And I wish they would have let us keep the name. The Pelicans is god awful, but
Utah Jazz. I don't.
It doesn't go together at all. Yeah, you're right. Not at all, but maybe the Mormons or something. They could have took that name or something.
They're not listening to a lot of jazz out there.
No, absolutely.
By the way, we talk about players, who came up with bad teams. Archie Manning came to mind, quarterback of the Saints. Recently, Ron Hunt passed away. He was one of the original Mets, and he was actually one of the bright spots on one of the worst teams of all time. He was actually an all-star with the Mets, their second baseman, from the original Mets 62, he was an all-star, I think, 63 with the Mets, and he just recently passed away, so we remember Ron.
Rest in peace.
All-time leader in hit by pitches, I believe, right, Jack? 200.
All-time.
Yeah, 200.
Why would anyone want to hit him that much? I know Frank Robinson was hit a lot. Tough guy.
Ron Hunt got hit 50 times one season. Got hit 50 times. Came an art form with him.
Yeah.
There's a question I want to ask you, Keith. How did you become a New England Patriot fan and living in New York?
I've told this story a few times. So when I'm 10 years old, all my friends were Giant fans and Jet fans because they just won a Super Bowl, Giant fans because their dads were and they had no choice or whatever. And a friend of mine, his dad, took me to a Patriot game 1970. And I fell in love with that team, and I've been a fan ever since.
Awesome.
I mean,
so you are a true fan. You are a true fan because they've had some bad years. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There was about 3 good years that first 40, I can tell you right now. So,
but other than that, you're more of a you have all the teams in New York teams,
Yankees,
the Yankees, and the Rangers.
Yeah.
Usually, it's a combination. It doesn't exactly mix and match, and this is unusual in a sense for me. Most fans who are Giant fans are Yankee fans. They're not Jet fans. It's the Mets and the Jets or the Yankees and the Giants. It's usually not split up, but for whatever reason, for me, it's like split up. I mean, when I was a little kid, I just liked the Yankees. But living in Brooklyn, but the Mets were popular because when they came into existence, they were supposed to kind of replace the Brooklyn Dodgers, who took over to LA. But there was a carryover for Dodger fandom in New York that lasts to this day to a certain extent.
Yeah.
The fans, in New York never got over some of them losing the Mets, and they kind of just stuck with the Dodgers. You don't have that in Cleveland with the Ravens. There was never that carryover.
I was a bit of nonconformist because the people in my age group, the Mets had just won a World Series. The Yankees were terrible, and I didn't want to root for the Mets.
Well, Detroit fans reportedly were rooting for the Rams to win the Super Bowl because of Stafford, reportedly, but they had their own team. But I don't think fans in St. Louis were really, having any carryover. Once they lost the Rams, I don't think the fans in St. Louis are rooting for the LA Rams.
I think
even though they
that was
still
a
have
misconception of what you said the Lions fans were. They were cheering for Stafford. I don't think they were necessarily cheering for the Rams. We did have some weird people trying to make some Rams Lions jerseys, I was like, yeah, don't do that. Don't go with them Lions Rams jerseys. That's
but I'll tell you something, guys. I went into this department store. I don't know am I in liberty to give the name, but there were a few Aaron Rodgers Jet jerseys. They were marked down to something like $13 to green, whatever. And I thought, it'd be a waste of money. If I get it, am I going to really put on and wear it, even though it's a bargain price? I mean, because there's no legacy with Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. Because all you remember, I don't blame him that it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. He got injured. Second year, the franchise was a mess, and they
why didn't you get it? It's a novelty now. It's just a novelty. I mean, for $13,
would actually wear a Jet. If you're a Packer fan, wait a second. You could wear an Aaron Rodgers jersey with pride, a Brett Favre jersey with pride. They're true throwback jerseys. Somehow Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. I mean, come on, guys.
Did you get an Aaron Rodgers for the Steelers?
Even a Vinny Testaverde jersey, a throwback, you could wear Chad Pennington. Nothing against Rodgers with the Jets. It just didn't work out. You could
Vinny was good with the Jets.
Vinny was good. Yeah, I said you could wear. Listen, if Aaron Rodgers retires at the end of this year, let's say the Steelers don't make the playoffs, they don't have a good year, you could still maybe win Aaron Rodgers Steelers thing because he gave you 1 year at least where there was a certain amount of pride. They did win a division, and the feeling wouldn't be bad about Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, but something about New York, you kind of want to forget it. Look, if you're a Buffalo Bill fan and you wear throwback Scott Norwood jersey, I guess you could do that. I mean.
I used to wear a Tony Eason jersey to games, and people throw stuff at me for crying out loud.
Dan, you have a name
Willie, Danny, what about you, Danny? I'm sure you have an LA Ram Namath jersey. You played there for a year. You get one of those.
That's
I mean, if I'm going to get a jersey, it's definitely going to be a jersey of a player that's played on my team. I don't like these guys. I was cheering for Stafford when he was with the Rams. I wanted him to win a ring because he deserved it after all the bashing he took here in Detroit. But at the same time, I wasn't going to go out there and buy me a number 9 Rams jersey, and I wasn't going to buy no halvesies that they had, the half Ram and the half Lions one. Get out of here. I mean, I got my original Stafford jersey.
No, you wear that jersey. You wear that jersey, and you root for Stafford in that game, right? That's what you do.
Hey, here's an off-kilter question. Jack, is regarding your Jets back in the day. And I'm a stats guy. And because it was brought up about Namath wearing his jersey. Was Namath overrated? Looking at his numbers.
Hope John Gonzalez isn't watching.
Revisionist history-wise, absolutely was overrated. But I'm a little different from you, James. Not that you're wrong with you.
No, I only asked because you watched. You watched
I
him.
like to naked eye test how things are at the time. And when Namath was playing at his peak at that time, there was talk about him being one of the greatest quarterbacks in history at the time, whether he was better than Unitas and this and that at the time. Revisionist history now, looking at the stats, yeah, I mean, no one says he was one of the greatest of all time now, but when he was playing, he was considered a superstar, and the talk was, as Namath went, the Jets went. You know, they can't win without Namath. That was the talk.
And he won the most important game in football history. So
Yeah.
that's why.
Well, I mean, but when I do the history search on that, it seems like the running backs won those games. The guys that were behind him.
Got an MVP. Keith Matt Snell should have been the MVP
Oh,
of
I
that
agree.
game.
I agree.
Because Namath, you know, same thing. Listen, Willis Reed gave the Knicks that emotional lift game 7, but let's be honest, he shouldn't have been Finals MVP. They came back in game 5 from far down without Willis Reed, without him. He was hurt. And in game 7, it was Walt Frazier. I mean, come on. I mean, what his performance, I mean, in game 7 against the Lakers, I mean, Willis gave him a lift. He hit the 2 shots. Maybe he demoralized the Lakers by limping out onto the court to begin with. I get all that, but you're a stats guy, James, and what Walt Frazier did, come on, give me a break. I mean, he should have been MVP. And Matt Snell should have. But listen, I mean,
I do have this card.
But Namath was the quarterback, and quarterback.
It's probably worth a lot of money, right?
Nah. A follower of my show sent it to me because we had this argument on my show. I said he was overrated. John Gonzalez, who's a huge Jet and Namath fan, ripped me apart. And I got that card sent to me as a joke, kind of. So I keep it here to remind me not to get too much on Joe Namath.
Oh, you do think he's overrated? You think he's overrated?
I do.
I do too.
You know, I mean, he was great, as Jack said, in the moment. And
Right.
Without injuries, who knows? But, you know, you can't forget all that stuff. Right?
I saw a list the other day, though, about quarterbacks that were ranked based on importance. And one of the quarterbacks was number 1 was Namath.
Because of the game.
Do you think that? Well, yeah. Did he make a significant change in that position? That's the thing that I'm asking. I thought that was more like, Graham or Unitas. I think that revolutionized the quarterback position.
You can make an argument. Namath did. He was before his time. He threw for 4,000 yards before anybody else did when he was healthy.
Yeah.
And he was a great athlete when he was healthy, but, you know, that never was. After he got to the Jets, he was hurt pretty much all the time.
And I was going to say, I will say this also. Yes, Jack, you beat me to the punch. The game was different. If you look at a lot of quarterbacks back then, their TD to interception ratios were bad. They weren't great at all. It was because most of the games, the true stars were the running backs. You know, the true stars were the running backs. So I'll give them a little bit of. But to be fair, if you look at his numbers, why isn't Ken Anderson in the Hall of Fame?
I'm a big Anderson advocate.
Yeah, but Namath, I'm going to tell you the naked eye test. Namath was a better quarterback than Ken Anderson by the naked eye test.
I don't know.
I would defer to you because I wasn't even born when they were playing. Or maybe I was a little bit.
At the top of the games, you're probably right, Jack. But I think when you look at the
top, peak value. That's what I meant. Yeah. But and a quarterback could throw a few interceptions like Brett Favre. Brett Favre was great. He was allowed to gunsling. Today's coaches are so conservative. Another issue too. Is the turnover situation overrated? It depends where you're turning the ball over. If you're on your own 30-yard line and you throw a 40-yard pass that gets intercepted, and the other team has it at their own 30 to start, that's so damaging. You're taking a chance it didn't work, as opposed to being conservative. And turnovers at times could be.
But as great as Brett Favre is, though. He gets a pass on those interceptions. Trust me, I'm a Saints fan, and he threw that interception was very bad. It was bad. We wouldn't have won that game if he wouldn't have threw that interception. All he had to do was run the ball and get the first down. The game's over. Saints don't get to the Super Bowl.
The rest of the game, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the gunslinger thing. I think what it is when you have it's now Stafford is like that too. He throws a lot of interceptions, a lot of bad interceptions. He just tries to make plays out of something. But you start winning games, you start winning Super Bowls with that attitude. You start winning games for your team.
It's overlooked
out the window. Yeah, it just gets overlooked because Brett Favre's got like with the most interceptions.
He has the most. He has the most. But when he retired, when he retired though, he had the most yards out of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So and touchdowns too.
He won 2 Super Bowls and brought the most storied franchise in NFL history back to prominence too. So that.
Well, he won 1. He went to 2.
He went to 2. Sorry, he went to 2.
Yeah.
I remember the one he won because we're always talking about Patriot losses in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, out to the side, talk about teams that you have off to the side. And I was a real big Elway fan, so I like Denver a lot. And then that was unfortunately for Green Bay, one of their losses in the Super Bowl. Their loss in the Super Bowl. That was to me, that was my favorite Super Bowl because it was back and forth. There was a lot of plays that were made that were really good. That's my opinion. It doesn't mean it was. So still Joe Montana.
Yeah, I'm
Joe
with Joe Namath. I'm not talking career with Namath. I'm just talking about when we peak value. When he was at his peak, there was talk about whether he was the greatest quarterback of all time at that time. But of course, afterwards, look at all the quarterbacks that came afterwards. So.
And again, this list that I was looking at was based on the significance of what quarterbacks changed the quarterback position. And it had
Jack sounds like a debate question.
No, listen, if we had an all-time NFL draft now, everyone was 22 years old. We had no injury concerns. Look, Joe Namath wouldn't be picked till the 3rd or 4th round. We would get the top guys off the board immediately to Brady.
Joe might be undrafted free agent.
Brady Joe in the 6th round
would go quick. Those guys would go quick. LT was, after the few elite guys, LT would go very early. And then a guy like Tom Coughlin would say, I could get Eli Manning in the 2nd or 3rd round, so let me take LT now. That Parcells would have that attitude, a Belichick. Once you can't get Brady or, a Manning and Mahomes, obviously.
So all the all-time greats you're drafting right now in every position, and Eli's in the 2nd round?
Eli would go late on? No.
Not the 2nd round.
Listen, you off the board immediately would go your great quarterbacks. Obviously, like I said,
but there's only 32 teams, though. There's only 32 teams.
32 teams, but and Marino would go, I think.
Oh, without a doubt.
But certain coaches would look, if I can get a guy like LT or give me another great defensive player too, they might look and say, I can get Jim Kelly late on, Matthew Stafford. They're going to be just as effective for me as the Tom Brady's or the, Mannings or Mahomes. And I get that great defensive player, that's going to be a game changer.
That's the same argument I use
with BLT, for example. Sam Darnold would go somewhere in the first. I mean, not Sam Darnold, Aaron Donald, somewhere late in the 1st round, perhaps. He might go before a certain quarterback.
All right. Well, and wrapping that up, thanks for that, Jack, for that last wrap up there. Catch Keith next with Stream of Conscious if he's still doing that.
We are.
Right after.
We are.
Okay. Yeah. So catch him right afterwards and enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you next week at 8 a.m. Everybody.
See you guys. Had a lot of fun.
Hey, guys.
Great. Same.
Yeah. Thank you.